This story is submitted to Marriage subreddit and posted by user DangerousEast6962. My wife and her ex-husband. My wife, 45F, was married to Bob, 46M, for almost a decade. They got divorced 12 years ago. There is a story behind it. Bob and my wife were college sweethearts. They got married very young and has been happy. However, tragedy struck and Bob got into an accident, which led him to be paralyzed from waist down. My wife was 29 and Bob was 30 back then. My wife took care of him for 3 years. But at then end, she just gave up. She told Bob that she could not do this anymore. She knows she sounds selfish, but she always wanted kids, but Bob cannot have children after the accident. She wanted to get a divorce, but promised him that she will always be there for him. She just wants to be selfish for once. Bob, although he was upset, but he understood. They split amicably. My wife stood by her promise and still visited Bob. She was still a part-time caretaker for him before she met me. I, 40M, meet her 2 years after her divorce. While we were dating, she made her situation with Bob clear that she will continue to see him. I know a lot of guys would be skeptical about this, but I just loved her the moment I saw her. Her kindness and compassion towards others is what drew me towards her. After we became official, she only went to see Bob once a week, sometimes even twice. I did not mind then. In fact, I liked her ex very much. He didn't treat me like I was the other man. He was always welcoming towards me and even showed me his library. I always felt bad for what happened to him. He was a great man and life has just betrayed him. When we got married, I could still see the sadness in his eyes, although there was mix of emotions from him. I always felt that Bob never stopped loving my wife, and to some degree my wife still has feelings for him. I know she loves me a lot. She has always treated me like I'm her king and always showed her love to me. Seriously, I am really lucky to have her in my life. Together, we have 2 children, 7M, 5F. My kids are also close with Bob. Everything was fine until a few months ago we got the news that Bob has cancer. It was at the last stage and he might not even survive a full year, but there is still possibility. The news really shattered my wife. She had stopped eating properly and being her usual cheerful self. I understand it, but here is a part where I am a little uncomfortable with. She now visits him very often. Most of the time I will be there with her. And then few weeks after the discovery, she told me she wants to shift in his house. She told me that Bob feels lonely and his siblings do not care about him since his accident. And it will be better if she would just stay with him. I objected. We had an argument and reached a compromise that we are both going to stay. So I've been staying at Bob's house for 2 weeks now. 4 days ago, we were all having dinner and after we were finished, I decided to do the dishes. My wife and Bob were chatting. The conversation were like this. Bob, I really missed this. I miss talking to you like the good times. My wife, me too. Remember one time we talked so much that we were late for work the next day? It wasn't even important. Bob, what happened to us, Lily? I mean, we were something. People would use us as an example. I miss you a lot. Never thought that when I was dying, you wouldn't be my wife anymore. My wife? I know. At one point, I thought that too, but life had other plans. I mean, I love you, but I love my family more. It was not the same after your accident. It is as if they forgot that I was in the kitchen and listening to their conversation. My wife was normal after that. We went to bed and kissed each other goodnight. Between this, she wanted to make love to me, but I just rejected her. I don't know how to feel about all of this. I trust my wife. I know she is a strong woman with good morals. She will never cheat on me. I know she is just sympathetic towards Bob because their relationship was beyond just exes. They are best friends. I feel like an intruder between them. And I think no matter what my opinion is about all of this, I will always be the bad guy. A woman, let's call her Lily, married her college sweetheart, Bob, who tragically became paralyzed after an accident. They amicably divorced when Lily realized her dreams of having kids were fading away. Fast forward, she meets a new guy. They marry, have 2 adorable kids, and everything seems hunky-dory. Now here's the twist. Bob, the ex-husband, is battling cancer, and Lily decides to move back into his house to be there for him. Cue the eyebrow raise. I mean, that's some next-level compassion, right? But things take a weird turn when Bob and Lily start having this heart-to-heart at the dinner table, reminiscing about their past. The current hubby is in the kitchen, eavesdropping on the whole conversation. Now, I can't help but feel for the guy. I mean, imagine being in his shoes, listening to your wife and her ex chatting like old pals about their once picture-perfect relationship. It's a bit uncomfortable, to say the least. But here's the kicker. He trusts his wife, believes she won't cheat, and thinks she's just being sympathetic to Bob's situation. The question is, can you really be just a sympathetic third wheel in a relationship that once meant the world to your spouse? I'm eager to see how this story unfolds, and I bet you guys too. Stay tuned, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more, because this one's far from over. Let's get into the comments. User FSmrt said, I don't quite understand what the problem is here. Your wife's relationship with Bob is unique. driven by external events. He has been very understanding considering she up and abandoned her marriage to him. The fact that the three of you are able to support him to the end is very honorable. And your wife's accepting your presence in Bob's house shows you have a strong marriage. The conversation you are sharing bits of is very touching. I would not feel threatened at all by it. Bob is frickin' dying, he's going to say anything, and what he said is very understandable. And your wife's response is sensitive too. I'm sure she has a color of love for him. He didn't do anything negative to her, unlike what she did to him. Perhaps her spending time helping him in his last days is her way of rectifying her leaving the marriage. So, what's your issue here? User Farmer Scrooge said. This story makes me sad for all of you. It's understandable, she's been upfront about this with you. She loves him and feels guilty she couldn't stay with him and have the life she wanted. It's very sad. You would not have your wife if not for his accident. I wouldn't like this arrangement, it would be very uncomfortable. But you did sign up for this. How are your kids processing all of this? User Terra Larasso 89 said, I think you might be focusing on the wrong things here. Yeah, she still loves him, but she loves her family more. The children you two have are her family, but probably most importantly, at least in this context, is that you are her family. She loves you more. It's okay that she still loves him. There's never a shortage on love. I'm sure it wasn't an easy conversation to overhear, even if what was said is something that you already knew deep down. But you're her husband, her family, and she loves you more. And being the kind of man that can be there for her and him during a time like this, supporting her decisions and standing by her when you know she still has love for him, will really only make her love you even more in the end. It's okay to have conflicting feelings over this. It's definitely not an easy situation to be in, but it seems like you're doing a pretty good job anyway. Just keep in mind that she loves you more. Thank you for the comments. The words from commentators are really helpful and insightful. Now let's unveil the story update and see what happens. Update. My wife and her ex-husband. All right, I took some of the advice that you guys gave me. Although I was disappointed to see so many emotional people calling me and my wife names without even trying to understand the situation. This will be a long one. Before I give an update, I want to make few things clear. My wife is awful because she abandoned her husband. No, I disagree with that. There is a between terminating a marriage and abandoning. She didn't abandon Bob. She was right by his side. She was just not his wife. I can understand why. She was 29 when this happened. At 29, people are still starting their lives, but her life and her husband's life ended there. You expect her to give up her life, her hopes and dreams. And what then? Resent Bob for the rest of her life? Caretaking can be exhausting. She was emotionally, physically, and financially drained while she was taking care of Bob. Would you have still expected her to give up her life if this happened when she was 21? It's not like she didn't try. They went to therapy and did counseling, but there was no romance, no intimacy. They just grew apart because they both had different dreams. Despite all of that, she was still in his life. She still took care of him. She could have disappeared after her divorce, but she didn't. That's what you call abandonment? Also, the reason why I didn't give all the details was because this was not about her old marriage. But now I'm making it clear because people are assuming things. I know most of your things are black and white, but from a logical perspective, I don't think she is wrong. My wife and Bob are having an emotional affair. Also no. People who have affairs are secretive. My wife was never like that. She was always upfront and honest about her relationship with Bob, and how she would still want to care about him. I do not think there is any affair. Just because she said she loves him, so what? She says I love you to her kids, her friends, and even my mother. That doesn't mean she is having an affair with all of them. She has kept a boundary between Bob and her. She doesn't love him romantically, but like a friend or a family. She doesn't have her own family. She has been an NC with her abusive family since she was 18. Bob was the only family she has ever known. If my wife wanted kids, why didn't she just adopt or do IVF? Like I said in my previous post, she was financially drained. IVF costs a lot here, and adoption with a disabled parent is hard. The agencies hesitate to give a child when one parent is not functional. Then again, they would still need money. My wife wanted children of her own, and if they went to either of the routes, she would have been the one taking care of the baby most of the time along with her husband. Bob almost went broke during all the caretaking. It wasn't until a few years ago he started a remote job that allowed him to stay at home and earn. My wife will leave me if the same thing happened to me. I doubt it. But even if she does, I would understand it. We talked about this before getting married, that if we have tried every possible option, then one of us can divorce. I do not want to be a burden on my own wife. And we are both in our 40s. We have pretty much accomplished every goal in life. So if tragedy does strike, then we are prepared. Bob loves my wife. He could, but there's not much I can do about it. I mean, I cannot order him to stop loving, but he does have some feelings for her. Whether it's limerence or not, I do not know. Though Bob was in a long-term relationship for 5 years with a girl, I do not think his love for my wife is the same as romantic love. What about my kids? Our kids are here for a while and they live with their grandmother. I do not see why people are acting like we abandoned our kids. Our kids love Bob. They do not know Bob is my wife's ex-husband. They only know that Bob is my wife's friend. They are not mature enough to understand it. Now on to the update. I took your advice. I just wanted to do the talk when she wasn't stressed. I texted my wife to meet us in our house, not Bob's. I ordered her favorite food and set up the table. When she arrived, she was surprised to see the setup, and I just told her. Since she has been stressed lately, I wanted to do something good for her. I called my mother. The kids are with her. Bob is staying at the hospital today, so he is fine too. And she can relax. She was happy and thanked me. We talked about our life, and she vented about her job and everything that's been going on. Then I dropped the bomb about her conversation with Bob. I told her about the conversation she was having with Bob and how it made me feel. Well, I like Bob, and I know she loves me too, but I cannot help but imagine her wanting to be with him. And it's really like a stab. Though I do appreciate her wanting to help Bob, I want to enforce boundaries. I cannot live forever in her ex's house. We have our own house. She needs to think about our kids too. I feel like day by day I'm losing her. This is just my concern and not insecurity. I expected her to flip out and become defensive, but she just cried a lot. She said that she didn't mean to hurt me. She knows she went too far with wanting to stay with Bob. She says she doesn't want Bob to feel alone. That's why she proposed it. And she feels sorry for not listening. She didn't mean to hurt me. She has been thinking about the living situation. I told her it's not enough. I wanted us to talk to a therapist. This whole thing is just a burden on me. She got scared and said, "Why? Nothing's wrong with us." I told her I want to do this. Just make sure we are on the same page and there are no hard feelings on either side. Then I asked her if she still wishes to be with Bob, because if he didn't have the accident, they would still be together. She told me she has wasted time thinking about what if. She knows we'd probably never meet, or she and Bob could have divorced for a different reason. The thing is, she doesn't want to think about it. What happened just happened. She loves me and doesn't want to be with Bob. Bob has a place in her heart as a friend and a family. When she said she loves Bob, doesn't mean she is in love with him. She hasn't thought about him in a romantic way since their divorce. The only reason she stuck with Bob was because they promised to each other, no matter what happens, they will be with each other, even as a friend. She proposed that we move back home and only stay one day a week in Bob's house. She might do occasional visits when it is needed. I agreed, but I still insisted on going to therapy. She agreed to it. We have yet to tell Bob about the news, but I'm sure he will understand. And before you ask, yes, Bob has a full-time nurse. He has family, but they hardly ever visit him. I'll probably not make an update again, and I'm done. No matter how much I try to explain it to you guys, you would only stick to seeing things either black or white. Apparently in the Reddit world, 2 exes remaining good friends is considered an emotional affair. They don't need context to understand things. I'm also very much drained emotionally. Bob is also my friend. Seeing him getting weak every day just makes me feel hopeless too. Now let's get into the next story. Our next story is submitted to relationship advice posted by user Micro Hoffman. My GF 23F of 2.5 years confessed to me, 23N, that she fell asleep next to a guy while they were both hugging in our bed while I am abroad. 4 months? I have been in relationship with this girl for about 2.5 years now. First 9 months were very nice. 4 months from that was on long distance since I've been overseas. We started living together, and the first year of our living together was very challenging. Neither of us was really a good partner. I was mostly working and did not put too much effort and energy into the relationship. About 1 year into our relationship, she started talking more to one friend of hers. Fast forward, she emotionally cheated on me with this guy to a point where I did not really felt like her boyfriend. I felt that I am no longer the most close person to her, to which she would come. It torn me apart and I lost a lot of trust I had towards her. She confessed it by herself, but only after some time when I was uncomfortable with her seeing him and see how she behaves around him. She seemed happy with him. She felt bad with me. Nothing physical between them happened, but just the emotional part was brutal for me. All this was happening while she was unable to work regularly, so I've usually paid most of the expenses. Yeah, this all has been happening at once, and it kind of fucked me up. But I see how I contributed to that state. I was not really the greatest partner, and I'm more focused on my work than relationship. We've gone through this, and it took some time and will from both of us, as well as she stopped the contact with that guy. Since then, we feel much better around ourselves, but it took some time for both of us to heal from what I would call a toxic relationship, and for me also regaining the trust for her, to really believe that she is my cute girlfriend, and she is just mine, and she wants it like that. Year 2023 was mostly good. We were getting closer to each other, and it finally seemed like things are getting back on good track. Occasionally, one of us was unsure if we should rather be alone now, but we always stayed together as it made sense for us. Then December 2023 came, and I've got this weird feeling from her and our communication. She said to me that she is not really happy in her own life, and she feels miserable. And also she was again unsure about the relationship, and if she should not have been alone now. From things that she said to me, it felt to me that the best thing for her will be to break up, but she is unable to do this step, so I've done it for her and break up with her. Next morning, she came to me and said that she is not sure if she really wants it. I've gave her a few days time, and those few days was very hard for me as I did not want to break up with this girl. In the end, she said that she would like to be with me. It was end of December 2023. But even after that, some weird feeling in me stayed, as she sometimes still seemed a little bit lost in that. I think that large portion of the issues in our relationship is also related to the fact that she is not really happy in her own life and needs to find herself and what she would like to do. Because of that, we agreed that I will spend 4 months abroad nomading and she will stay home, but still we stay together and we will see what we will learn in those 4 months. I was leaving my country at the start of January. I wanted to show her that I do not take it as a leaving her, but more of an opportunity to understand ourselves better, but still I count with her in my life because I like her and our world. I'd say that our intercourse life is still not perfect, but we both hoped that with better communication and understanding of each other, we could make it work in the end. But when I was leaving, we still were not really happy in our intercourse life, but we made some progress. I've left nomading and we were supposed to be 4 months in a long-distance relationship. Right from the start, we did not call too much, a few times a week, but I had an okay feeling. One day she felt really cold towards me and towards everything, and she felt very resigned and unhappy with everything in her life. She said to me that she feels disconnected from me and from everything in her life. So we talked more and spent a few hours on the calls, while she still feels like she is unsure if she wants to continue the relationship with me. After that, she called me again and confessed to me that about 2 weeks later after I left, she went painting with one guy she met once before, but it was meant only as a friend. She even told me that she is going painting with him before. They painted and then chilled out in our home. It was late and he stayed overnight in the flat with her. He was sleeping on the other part of the bed, but she said that he started hugging her while laying down and that they felt asleep like that, hugging, and at some point she turned to his shoulder and put her head there. He was touching her hands and hips while hugging her. Nothing more happened. They both had clothes, and although the guy wanted more, she refused. She admitted, though, that she liked how the guy was looking, and there was some sexual feelings present, despite that they did not do anything more. I don't really know what to do right now. I feel torn apart. My once regained trust for her is again on very low, and I feel like someone just completely stole from me an intimate thing, falling asleep with partner, that I once thought is special to our relationship. And after she told me this, out of nowhere, she started appearing like she really does not want to lose me, that she would love if I could be there and stuff like that. Like IDK, last 2 months I felt very unsure because of her, did not really know if she wants to be alone or not. And after she tells me that this happened, she suddenly started acting like she is sorry and she does not want to lose me, and that she loves our world, I'm her soulmate, etc. In those 2 months, she occasionally had those periods where I really felt that I was her world and she wanted to be with me. But then it switched back to her being unsure if she wants to be with me or not. Honestly, this thing is going me crazy. Not only because of this one situation that happened, but also because this situation happened in the full context of her being unsure if she wants to stay with me. My emotions still do not want to lose this girl, as I still like her, and I imagined a future with her. And after all we've been through, losing her now just seems so sad for me. But my more rational part is heading more towards breaking up and not give a person third chance. Maybe someone would not even consider this a cheating, but to me, it is some kind of combination of emotional and physical cheating. And the vision of her falling asleep hugging another man is just horrible for me. I feel like I've lost something so intimate that I thought is special to our relationship. I don't understand how she could do something like that to herself and to me. I guess she probably does not understand it either. I've told her I want to break up. She then wrote me a few hours later that she understands if I do not want to be with her, but that she loves me, I'm the best man on the earth, and that she wants me. I responded to her that I do not really know if I even want to try, get over this and give her third chance again after the first emotional cheating happened already in the past. I understand the reasons behind the first one much more, since at that time we were in a toxic relationship and I was not really there for her, but now the situation is different. I feel betrayed, empty, and angry at the same time. I'd appreciate your advice or hearing your thoughts. Thank you. A guy in a long-distance relationship for 4 months hears that his girlfriend fell asleep in their bed hugging another guy. Yeah, you heard it right. Now, they've had their fair share of ups and downs, including some emotional cheating in the past, but this, it's like a punch to the gut. The girlfriend spills the beans about cuddling and hugging while he's abroad, and she even admits there were some sexual feelings. Ouch. The guy's torn understandably. Trust, once regained, shattered again. And here's the kicker. She suddenly switches gears, proclaiming love, soulmate status, and begging not to lose him. I'm sitting here thinking, what would I do in this situation? I mean, can you really come back from your partner cuddling up to someone else in your own bed? It's like a betrayal of intimacy, and the poor guy is left feeling angry, empty, and betrayed. Now let's have the comments section. User JDZ615 said, "She had another man in your bed. Well, I don't believe they just cuddled. But even if that is the truth, that alone would cause me to cut her out of my life. The fact she thought it was acceptable to bring another man home and into your bedroom and sleep in your bed. The blatant disrespect is off the charts." User Infinite Ignorance replies, "I can imagine if my wife went on a trip and told her I was lonely and spent all day alone with a girl and had her sleep over in the same bed, because it got too late, but all we did was cuddle and hold hands, she would not take it well. I mean, a lot of conscious decisions went into even what she confessed. And knowing the guy wanted into her panties and still keeping him around in compromising positions like that, even if nothing more happened, it's just flirting with disaster. That assuming they didn't make out or fondle in their sleep or any other nonsense." User Angry Tutor 1 said, "No way on earth she didn't sleep with him, but that's not even the main issue. I have absolutely no idea why you two are together. Do you even know? Don't say because we love each other. It sounds like half the time you aren't even sure you like each other. You both seem to spend 2/3 of this relationship on the precipice of ending it. Your relationship is so great that you went nomading for 4 months away from her to try and save it. What are you even together for at this point? I mean, how do you imagine this playing out? Do you imagine this somehow is going to magically fix? You'll both somehow change into exactly the person the other needs, and you'll wake up one day after 20 very happy years together, happy that you got through that early rough patch?" As we finish this Reddit story, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more interesting Reddit tales. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to having you in the next video.